Yes, are we live?
Yep, we are.
We are live.
Yeah,
Yep. So welcome guys. Welcome to the live indeed where we discuss life the way it is not, and today is going to be our 31st episode. I'm really sorry. It's going to be 31st
31st.
episode, and so it is going to be our monthly Q&A session where we'll be talking about certain points, some interesting facts. We
Yeah,
will be sharing our own story, we'll be sharing our own experiences, and we want you to participate. If you have any question, if you want to discuss anything, if you want us to talk about something, then definitely we will talk about that. So today's topic is the skills which schools and colleges have never taught you. We have already
yeah,
done one episode, but in that particular episode, we were not able to cover up all these skills. So today, this is a kind of second episode of that particular episode. So we want you to ask questions. We want you to participate as much as possible. So once again, welcome. So as I already said, the skills that schools and colleges never taught you. So the very first skill,
yeah.
or I think, and I and my co-host Tosif, we strongly believe that it is one of the most crucial skills, one of the most crucial aspects of our life is learning from failures. So the very
It's a very
first
interesting one.
skill, absolutely, Tosif. I mean, it is the most important skill to have in life because one cannot achieve success without failure. But
Agree, man.
unfortunately, in our society, failure is taken as a taboo. We don't
It
even
is
discuss
discouraged.
about failures. Discourage. It is something negative, where we both believe completely opposite, that failure is something very much essential in life. If you are not failing regularly, then you are missing something big in life. So Tosif, let me ask you this: how many times you have failed in your life, or what are your failure stories? So today we are going to break this taboo. Today we are going to break
Absolutely.
this myth that failure is
I think, Piyush, there is some connection issue at your end. But I believe that Piyush has asked me that how many times have you failed in your life? So, I would like to continue from here. Like, I mean, consciously, unconsciously, I have failed multiple times in my life, many a times. When I say unconsciously, of course, I have failed in my life multiple times when I was not conscious. I didn't even know that I am failing. I didn't even know that, okay, this is a failure. I never recognized failure in my life. However, when I, started and embarked upon my journey of becoming the better version of myself, started working on self improvement, then I became more conscious about that. Failure is very important and vital in life. Without failure, you would not be able to enjoy the true essence of success. So my definition of failure, as said by one of the wisest person, that failure is going from one, success and failure. Success is basically going from one failure to another failure without losing the enthusiasm. So if we look at success holistically, if we want to attain success in our life, we have to go from failure to failure. you know we cannot attain success without sacrificing anything, because failures gives you perspective. Failures gives you a perspective that that's something that you have done wrong, something that you have failed at. You don't have to do the same thing again with yourself. Yeah, Piyush, actually you asked me the question,
I'm
but
really sorry, but
it's absolutely
I
fine.
completely lost my internet connection.
I
Yeah,
answered your
so we are
question, but you
still.
were not there.
Yeah, so if you can give some glimpse.
Yeah. So you asked me that, Tosif, have you failed, in your life? So I said that
Yeah.
I have failed many a times in my life, consciously and subconsciously. So earlier, I used to fail a lot of times. So I remember as a kid that when I was learning how to ride a bicycle, I failed multiple times. I fell actually on the ground. I have arisen and then started riding again. So it was all the unconscious failure, but I never recognized the failure that, okay, these are the failures that are required in your life to be successful in the journey of your life. So
Right.
unconsciously, I failed multiple times. But as I'm going to repeat myself that when I embarked upon my journey of self development, then I became more aware of failures, and
Hmm.
being a like-minded, being in the like-minded company like you and all of the people who are in our vicinity. When we keep reminding our brain that failures are important, then we become a friends with failures. So,
Correct.
if we feel like
Absolutely.
that failures are really important and significant for your growth, then we do not actually stop and avoid failures. So that
Right.
that approach is really powerful, and I think, you know, I would repeat again the definition of success. Success is going from one failure to another failure without losing the enthusiasm. And
Absolutely.
if you lose the enthusiasm on first failure or the second failure, then you means that you have stopped yourself from reaching where you wanted to reach.
Right.
So of course I have failed multiple times in my life. I would love to share an example, but I would like to ask Piyush, can you share any of the example where you have failed and you have come back powerful? And I know personally a lot of incidents from your life, but I would like you to share those, any one of your incident where you have failed and then you overcome that difficulty or adversity.
Sure, definitely. I would love to. So, uh, so as we are talking about, as we are discussing about failures, so one of the most important point, one of the first important point which I want to talk about is the definition of failure. How you define failure? It is something really important. It is something really powerful, that how you
Absolutely.
perceive the failure. So you, as
Yeah.
you must be knowing, that I'm a big advocate of perception, because in life everything is perception. So we all need to understand that how do we perceive failure.
Correct.
Unfortunately, failure is perceived as something negative. One should not fail in life.
Yeah.
Most of the people have this notion, most of the people have this perception that failure is something negative. One should not at all get fail in life. But
Hmm.
practically, how it is possible?
Correct.
When this universe have not uh, you know uh, given us the permission that there will be something only one, like, that if there is a day, there is a night. If there is a light, there is a darkness. If there is
Yeah.
male, there is female. So everything have its own importance. But then why
Correct.
do we not respect failure? My the very first point which I want to add up in our discussion is, why do we not you know uh, perceive failure as something very important in our life? Because only
Correct.
failure teaches you the kind of lessons. And as we discuss in life, indeed, that the we discuss life the way it is not, we discuss the life experiences, we discuss the life lessons. So the failure
Yeah.
is one of the life lessons. So if I talk about my personal experience, the one of the biggest failures which I came across in my life, when I failed in my 12th grade exam. So coming from a humble middle class family, getting fail in academics, and at the same time in one of the most important year of your academics, you are literally, you do not just fail in academics, but you fail your parents expectations, you fail
Correct.
your,
Family's
everyone
expectation,
who is
everyone.
knowing you. You are failing everybody's expectations. So that was one of the biggest failures of my life, where I learned a lot of things. Because of that only I was able to understand, because of that only I was able to work upon myself. Definitely, it was definitely one of the most darkest phase of my life. because I was just 17, 18 years old, right?
Hmm.
And I was failed in one of the most crucial academical examination. I still remember that day when I brought my result in my hand and I reached to my home. I have described everything in my book, that how was that day. I can still feel that particular day when I came to know that I failed in 12th grade exam. But when today, when I look back, when I see, I can say that I can proudly say, in fact, that if I would have not failed in 12th grade exam, I would have not become a person who I am today.
No doubt about it. And thank you so much for sharing your example. It is going to motivate a lot of people. A lot of kids fails, in India in 10th and 12th standard, because of the pressure from the family and their loved ones. They feel like this is the end of the journey. And look at Piyush,
True.
right from failing in 12th standard to where he is today. So I think it's a good point to learn, to all the people who are actually studying. They may not be wanting to study. They might want to do something, but if they fail, it doesn't mean the end of life. And I think it's a classic
Absolutely.
example.
And I
And
think
yeah,
getting fail in academics is one of the most negative thing in our society, so we should definitely discuss in much detail
absolutely.
about this particular topic.
Zishan is saying what has intrigued me, that what's not being taught in the school and colleges. Absolutely. I mean, thank you so much, Zishan. And this is what we actually in Life Indeed podcast, this is a core message that we give via this podcast, that we only discuss about those aspects of life, which are not traditional, which are not contemporary, which hardly any people, anybody talk about and not taught in school and colleges. So thank you so much. And he's
Thank you
saying
so
that
much, Ishan.
my catchphrase is learn everything you'll never learn and will ever learn in school, colleges, and other educational institutions. Absolutely agree with you. And thank you
Thanks
so
a
much for
lot.
your beautiful comments and joining us. Yeah, Piyush, you were saying something. Would like to
Yeah, I was
continue?
saying that we should definitely highlight this particular topic, the getting fail in
Hmm.
academics.
Absolutely agree. And this reminds me, Piyush, that and for God's swear, I never discussed this in my life. Even I think even not even my family knows about this, and I'm gonna reveal this truth for the first time. So I was academically very bright student, and I must confess that right from the first standard till 12th standard, I secured first division, that too on a district level. I
Wow.
was a very bright student, and that's how my family actually conditioned me that you need to be on the top. So that was something like I was absolutely obsessed with that. So I was very. I used to study hard. I remember I used to study in lamp till 12 midnight every day, and then wake up at 5:30. Ride bicycle for 30 kilometer to reach to the college premises, and I used to study. But when I came to Delhi, so obviously there was a lot of family pressure, and I had to earn to run my house and manage my younger brother and sister, and obviously my mom. So I started doing the job right after 12th standard. So it was like some everybody said that you don't have to leave the education. You should at least do the complete the graduation. So that's how I enrolled into distant learning. From Delhi University, I started the graduation side by side,
Right.
and I was thinking it was okay, and it is very difficult to secure good marks in distant learning. So I already had that expectation that I'm not going to do, you know I may not be able to secure first position, but it is okay. So I need to put the same and similar amount of hard work that I used to do it. I did that. But in the last year, in one of the subject, I failed, and it was very surprising for me because according to me I did not fail. So what really has happened, that failure, it became very difficult to actually for me to digest, that how can I fail? So that kind of a mindset that I had, that I cannot accept the failure. How
I
how in the world I can fail? And the repercussion was that I did not tell this to anyone of my family. And by now, till now, neither my parents know that I failed in one of the subjects. So what I did,
So
I just went for the supplementary exam and I passed that, though I did not fail. But I'm just sharing this example for a reason, because the kind of mindset that I had, I was not ready to accept the failure. I was so stubborn, and I did
it's
not know that.
really, I mean, it's a really important point which you have shared right now, that this is what we want to highlight actually, that we should, the way we celebrate our success, I will not say that the same way we should celebrate our failure. In fact, we should celebrate our failure like that only. But if you're not able to celebrate your failure, at least you need to develop that kind of mindset, that
Mindset.
if you are failing, it's
It's
okay.
absolutely
It's not
fine.
the end of the life. It is a part of life.
Correct.
Success is a part, sorry, failure is a part of success.
Absolutely. And
So
Zishan
we
is saying that,
all, yeah.
yeah, well, he's saying that when you learn and study everything what you want, you open the world of opportunities. But when you only learn and study what school, colleges, and other educational institute want, then you limit yourself. Absolutely. That's the reason a lot of people say the real education starts after your college and schools.
And in
That's
fact,
the
we are
life
not
education.
saying that, we are not at all saying that uh, formal education, school education,
It's
or
not.
college
Yeah.
is not important. It is, it has its own importance. But the point is, we have so many examples who have never gone to school or college, still they are successful in their life, still they are living the kind of life they wanted to live. So the point which we were discussing is, if you are getting fail in academics, the very first point, you need to teach your son, daughter, to anyone in your family, that if you are getting fail, it's okay, you should share with your family. You need to build
Yeah.
that environment, you need to create that kind of comfort zone between your relatives, between you and between your son or daughter, or between your brother and sister. Because
Absolutely.
when you fail in life, you get into that zone where you start spending a lot of time alone, and that is the most dangerous time to be in. And that's the only time when people have a lot of suicidal thoughts.
Right.
Just imagine, why people commit suicide, because they are unable to express themselves. They
True.
take decision
They hold
as per their
thoughts.
own understanding.
Yeah.
So I have gone through that phase, because I when I failed, so thanks to my parents, that at least I was able to express to them that I was failed. And after that, also almost for more than 3 months, I was into that dark zone where I also had suicidal thoughts. But then slowly you come out from that zone, but it
Correct.
takes time.
Take
So
some
you
time.
shared a very important point, that we really want to tell our audience, that if you are getting fail, or if you somebody is getting fail in your relatives, or anybody who is getting fail, then create that comfort zone, that they share, they
Correct.
talk about that.
एंड आई
Yeah,
थिंक
Tosif.
ये सबसे बड़ा रीज़न था कि आज तक मैंने वो चीज़ किसी को नहीं बताई। बट बिकॉज़ नाउ आई डोंट शाई अवे नाउ। अब मुझे कोई शर्म नहीं है, मुझे कोई, आई बिकेम मोर वल्नरेबल, आई कैन टेल इट टू एनीवन। बट यू नो व्हाट, जब आपने वो बात बोली अपने फेलियर की, देन अगेन आई आई वाज़ एबल टू रिलेट टू यू, एंड देन आई सेड ओके दिस वाज़ द वन। वो I actually, I'll go back to where you started your conversation. You know why? You know what is the perception of failure in our society? So the reason why I could not express this to anyone, because since childhood we have been told that failure is a bad thing. You cannot afford to fail. You cannot fail at anything. The only thing that you want in your life is success. That's how we have been
Absolutely.
hardwired right from our childhood till the time we go to colleges and school. And unfortunately, the irony is this is not something that is only taught by your parents, it is taught by your school
The
teachers,
society,
colleges, and society
overall
as well.
society.
Overall society discourages you to make mistakes, discourages you to take failure as one of the bad thing. And in fact, I would like to share again the same examples. One of the fundamental reason why United States is the superpower in the world, it is because right from their childhood they actually encourage their kids to make a lot of mistakes, to take risk. They are the risk takers. As opposed to that, in India, we, our parents and we discourage our kids to take risk. We discourage them to make mistakes, and that's how the finished product, when we go out of the college and we join corporate, or maybe we embark upon the journey to do any business or entrepreneurship, we fear from failure.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
it's very important, as Piyush also said, that for your parents, if they are understanding, I think it's again it's a boon. But if they are not, then be express whatever has happened. It's absolutely okay to fail, and this should go into the minds of the kids or the people who have failed in life or who are expecting to fail. It is absolutely okay. Let's celebrate it. Move on in life. Whatever you have
Absolutely.
learned from the failure, don't repeat the same thing. Let's be more powerful, more enhanced, and more optimistic. What do you
True.
say, Piyush?
So, in fact, this brings us to one more important skill which one should have in life is. So, this is what I learned. This is what I heard from Jay Shetty in one of the podcast. Somebody asked him this same question, that from your point of view, what are the important skills to
Yeah,
have in life? So one of the skills which he shared, which is something very unconventional, which is something we don't even talk about it, and it is about talking only, that we should
hmm,
learn, we should have a skill of having uncomfortable conversations,
correct. Difficult conversation.
difficult conversations. So when we fail, or when we are going through a particular kind of situation which has something to do with others, or which has something to do with our own understanding, we don't even discuss, we don't even have that conversation, just because we feel that it will lead us to something, which is not comfortable, which
Miserable or
is
something
miserable.
uncomfortable. Yeah,
I cannot become vulnerable. So
yeah.
I think it is also one of the most important skills to have, that you should train yourself, you should work upon yourself, so that you can have those difficult conversations, whether it can be with your
Very
parents,
true.
whether it can be with your spouse, whether it can be with your friends or colleagues or anybody. If you are, if you don't, so this is what I tell people, that if you are not doing something wrong, morally, ethically or legally,
Correct, correct.
you don't have
It's
to
absolutely fine.
feel, you don't have to worry about anything by while talking to someone about what you want to do in your life.
लोग
You
तो
are
इतना
not
सोचते
doing.
भी नहीं ना, मॉरली एथिकली और वो सब तो सोचते भी
Exactly,
नहीं
I
है
mean,
लोग, बहुत सारे
the
लोग.
people who are doing illegal things, they don't even think about so many things. But when we want to do something which is legally right, morally right, ethically also right, then also we don't want to talk about that. So I think it is also one of the most important skills to have, that you should work upon your. That is why communication skill, which we both are a very big advocate of communication skills. You know,
Absolutely, and I agree, Piyush. And I would like to add upon to this that, you know, this is all a part of your mindset. Like having the
absolutely
difficult conversation, preparing yourself to be more vulnerable, preparing yourself to be more accepting towards failure. These are all the parts of your mindset. And I think, I remember when me and Piyush started our journey, 2.5 years back. We were very hesitant, and the perception of failure was actually overpowering our desire to do more and more. There was a time,
correct,
but when
correct,
we actually started our journey, we thought that, okay, I think the only way we can dispel our fear or dissipate our fear is is by doing that thing again and again and again.
Again and again.
And that's what we
Absolutely.
did. And it was not a rocket science. It sounds and it looks very, very, difficult when we start it, but when you actually do it, then you actually experience the what is there on the other side of the
On the
fear.
other side, you know.
And that is very
True,
important.
true, true. So so that I think that is something we call the fear of unknown.
Fear of
You
unknown,
know,
yeah, absolutely.
without even getting into the process, without even facing the fear, we have a lot of notions. We have a lot of, assumptions that if I will do, then this will happen.
what if
Without
i
even,
what if I fail?
what if I fail? That is the most important, or that is the most, I mean, horrible reason for most of the people. They don't try anything in their life. So Zishan is saying when we want our child to stay kind and compassionate, we got to that first.
Absolutely, we
Absolutely,
have to
Zishan.
exercise something.
Absolutely.
Practice what we can't preach what we can't practice.
Absolutely, absolutely. So even I and Tosif will definitely agree that whatever we want to do in our life first, we should practice it. We should do it at our own. Then only we like to tell other people that you should do this or that. Children are
Absolutely,
amazingly good at imitation. Yeah,
they do.
absolutely. Yeah, they do. So this is what what happened just couple of weeks back only. That I have a so we both have that habit of reading. So uh, and my kid, while watching me reading, he has also started reading something with me.
Hmm. You
And
discussed that, yeah.
yeah, so other day he was sharing me that I read this in one of the books, and he has started sharing like this, just because he was observing me. So definitely Zishan, is it is very very important. So yeah, so Tosif, so I think we already discussed the how you can learn from failures,
Hmm.
and it's very important to
In fact,
have.
we discussed two, three things like why failures are important and why we see failures as a bad thing in our society. Then we
Correct.
moved on how we can learn from the failures. We discussed a couple of our examples and the perspectives and how we can embrace failures, you know, as a medium to become successful. So I think we discussed
Right.
holistically. So I think I would just like to say thanks, Dishan and Bushra and all the people who have joined. So, guys, we both want you to become a part of this conversation and ask
Yeah.
questions, contribute because we both are talking to each other, and we feel that we are talking to you. The comments that you're sharing, the question that you're asking, I think they are very vital for us to be more
Absolutely.
engaging, and we it will enable us to share more and more. So it's a free forum. Just go ahead and post your questions because we will continue discussing it for 1 hour and add as much as value we can.
Yep. So
This is
Tosif,
the
you
time to discuss about the time management because a lot of times what we can do is if we actually fail to manage our time. So everybody has 24 hours, so everybody has the same amount of time. Billionaires have 24 hours, a poor person has 24 hours, but there is a reason billionaires are billionaires and there is a reason poor are poor, and there are many factors. There are many reasons why this actually happens, but time management is one of the very fundamental and vital things. So I would want you, Piyush, to actually put some light onto this, like how can somebody look at time. And I remember from one of your webinar that you have actually prepared a very beautiful sheets where you have actually divided the entire 24 hours into 1448 minutes, and then you actually designated some amount of time to all the important activities. So I would like
right.
you to show some light onto that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think Tosif, uh, before we jump into the strategies or tactics that how we can manage our time, so everything is connected to mindset, right?
Correct.
Which is, I mean, which is a kind of thumb rule that everything is connected to the mindset. So with respect to time also, why do we have to manage our time, or why do we need to
Mm.
manage our time? So the point here we need to understand is, the at the first stage, why do we waste our time? You know, why do we waste something? I just
Hmm.
couple of days back only I have shared a post on this, that why do we waste something? So when we waste something, when we think, when we believe that which we have, something which we have in abundance,
Hmm.
which is never going to be over,
Or something that we don't value.
or something which we don't value. So subconsciously, we have that this notion, we have this one of the biggest misunderstanding, misconception, that we have plenty of time, we have abundance time, abundant time. So this is what I learned from Robin Sharma. So he says that, so we all humans live our life kind of that we are never going to die. We live like that, and when we actually die, we feel that we never lived, you know.
Yeah.
So we feel that we are never going to die, but when you read into newspaper, or when you watch a news channel or something like that, when you come to know that this people died in accident, this people died in this and that. So I was into sales for more than 16 years, and I traveled a lot. So every time when I travel by a flight or by a bus or by a car, every time I used to go with a mindset that this might be my last journey. You never know.
Correct.
So if you can develop this kind of mindset, you will automatically stop wasting your time.
I think लोग
It's
reality से दूर भागते हैं.
exactly, it is what we discuss about the failure. It is one of the biggest taboo of discussing about death as well, because but
Hmm.
death is the only reality of our life.
Absolutely.
And if you can connect everything with your death, you don't need any other context. What I will say is context.
वो एक कहावत नहीं है पीयूष की, एवरीबडी वांट्स टू गो टू हेवन बट नोबडी
But
वांट्स टू
nobody
डाई.
wants to die. That's what the point is. Why do we need to manage our time? You need to understand that I have a very limited period of time on this planet Earth. So if, let's suppose, your boss is telling you that you have to complete a PPT within 7 days, and for 6 days you have this mindset that okay, abhi to 6 दिन बाकी है, 4 दिन बाकी है, 3 दिन बाकी है, and then suddenly, just before one day, you realize that now you just have 24 hours to complete that PPT, which you have not completed in last six days. Now you will complete it within just 24 hours, because you know that I don't have that luxury of time. So if you can develop this kind of mindset in your life, that I have this limited amount of time of in my life, you will automatically start managing your time smartly. You will automatically start thinking, you will start automatically find ways by which you can manage your time, in a way that you can do everything in your life. You have to be creative to manage your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I
just
think more than managing time, you got to create time for yourself. You know,
absolutely.
whatever, as Piyush said, that we would definitely like to discuss the strategies of how you can manage the time. But as we all love to start with the psychology of whatever we actually discuss, or whatever we start off with. So as Piyush talked about, that you need to have that kind of a mindset, like when it comes to managing time, look at some of the things that you value and you don't value, or care or you don't care. It's highly likely that some of the things that you value most or care most, you will definitely make time for them. Like if you love spending time with your spouse, you will love to manage or create the time for self, for that particular time, where you love spending time with your spouse. But something that you don't love or don't care, let's take an example that you don't love reading books. So you would feel a lot of friction and gravity towards making or creating time. You feel like, okay, let's procrastinate, let's do it some other time. So in doing that and deciding and postponing, you feel like it's been and it's the end of the month and you have never been able to make time for that. So when it comes to managing time, I think what you value and what you don't value are really important, and this comes from the way you think,
True.
your
True.
mindset, your belief about something. As me and Piyush both believe that there is always an underlying cause behind every action that you take. So, what is your belief about something, and how do you think and feel about that, and how
True.
much you value, will decide eventually how much time and how much willingly you're going to spend time on that thing. So now I'll just quickly go back to the mindset that if you don't value something, you would not spend your time on. So now, for example, there is something that is very powerful and that is going to change your life. Let's take that example. Let's say reading book will actually freshen your mind. It will give you a lot of new thoughts and perspective, but you have never read book, and it is something that is very, that is going to give you a lot of friction. You don't want to do it, but somehow you want to do it because you want to transform yourself. Now what you need to do is to change your belief about reading books. Now your belief may be, okay, what am I going to get out of this? This is just like all the other books. I have read so many books in the school and colleges, to the belief that, okay, books are, one of the very important source of learning. I might get something new out of this, so let's become more curious and let's start reading this book. And that's how you create, transform your beliefs. And then once your beliefs are transformed, once you have positive belief and association for something, then you will start to find yourself that you're more interested and value that, and automatically you will create time for that. And it's not any rocket science. It's all about doing, me and Piyush, we always discuss about that. You need to actually think backward. you know Question yourself, what do you believe into something, like what is your existing set of beliefs, and then you start working on that. And then
Absolutely.
you will find that, okay, the things that you were not doing, something which were actually good for your future identity, now you have started doing it,
True.
and you will make time for that. And Piyush, you
Absolutely.
would like to discuss about the strategies, like how can somebody make time?
I think the strategy or tactic which I would love to share is you have to become more self aware.
Correct.
First you have to become more and more self aware that what exactly you are doing in your life. You have to become aware about that. As you correctly said, and a very valid and important point to understand that. So we just keep on doing things which are not required. We just keep on getting indulged into the things which are not aligned with our vision, which are not aligned with our goals. So if you want to manage your time smartly, or if you want to optimize your time, you have to become more self aware. You have to understand that from where you are starting, where you want to reach, what are your life goals, what is your life vision, what exactly you want to do in your life. And once you
Correct.
are able to develop that kind of self awareness, so every single time when you are doing something, you will automatically ask yourself that the thing which I want to do right now, is it aligned with my goal? Is it helping me to reach my vision? Is it helping me to become a kind of become a version which will help me to grow? Otherwise most of the
Absolutely.
people are not at all self-aware. They just keep on. So this is what I tell. I don't want to offend anyone, but why do we people invest their most of the time in watching like comedy shows, or some drama movies, or something like that, where you are not at all getting anything. I have literally stopped watching those kind of movies or series, or so even I want to watch Netflix for 10 to 15 minutes, I will research about that particular series or movie, that what is there and what I will learn. Is it actually helping me? Because ultimately I'm going
Hmm.
to invest my 3 hours, 5 hours, or 6 hours into that particular thing.
True.
So is it actually helping me to become a better version of myself? Is it actually helping me to develop some new skill? So that is why I say that if you want to manage your time, you have to become more self aware. And if you are
No doubt
more
about it.
self aware, then you don't have to manage your time. I mean, it is something you know,
Co- they actually
completely
coincide with each other.
coincide with each other, exactly. And you should write everything on paper, because the thing which you are not documenting, then don't make your brain a dustbin that you put everything inside your brain. Try to put something on paper, that what is your routine
Wow.
from waking up to going to the bed. Write your routine and find out the gaps. Try to find out where you are, you know uh, you're putting your time into something which can be avoided, or which you can optimize. So when I was into job, what I used to do is, so I had like 1 hour ka lunch break. I used to finish my lunch within 15-20 minutes, and for remaining 30-40 minutes I used to edit my videos. I used to write my post in that 1 hour of my lunchtime when I was into my job.
Yeah,
So
it's
because
all
I
about your
became,
approach. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, because I became more self-aware that within 2 to 3 years I want to leave my job. I have to put myself into that zone. I want to optimize time so that I can, that was my vision, that was my goal, that within 2-3 years I want to leave my job. I became more self-aware.
It's a very good
Yeah.
point. Piyush, I would like to take a question which
Yeah,
Bushra has
please.
asked. Kindly, would you like to share some tips that will help me boosting my self confidence? Would you like to add to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I mean, and for Bushra, anything, because she is one of the most loyal, participant of our Life Indeed podcast, and we really appreciate your support, your continuous support for us. So, Bushra, if you really want to, so why do we? So we always get back into the question, right? So why do we feel that I'm not self confident, or I don't have the confidence? So one of the most important point we need to understand, that why we feel that I don't have the required confidence. I think subconsciously the reason is we fear that if I will do something wrong, or if I'm not good enough, or I will do something which is not accepted by the society or the world,
Mm,
people will judge me. People will put me into that
correct.
uh, that 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 definition, that this person is like this.
Correct.
So as human beings, we don't want to get into that zone. We
Mm,
fear. We have this fear. So it comes from our ancestors, when we were
mm,
like living into the jungle, and we were just small tribes, like 40 50 people or 100 people. So in that particular zone we had this fear, that if I will not get fit into the tribes rules and regulation, then people will kick me out, and I will have to leave my life into the jungle, where I will have to hunt alone, where I will not be able to survive. And unfortunately this same thought process is still there, that if I will commit some mistake, if I will do something which is not getting fit into the societal norms, then people will judge me.
true.
That's why we feel that I need to learn more, I need to develop on my skills, I need to do this, I need to do that. We become so much conscious about everything, and we become over conscious. Then we start having this feeling that I cannot speak in public, I don't have the required confidence. Yeah, one point I would definitely like to add is, you have to work upon your skills. So confidence
True.
comes from competency. When you
Correct.
are good in something, when we started our journey, we were not competent enough to speak in public.
Yeah.
But what we did is, we become vulnerable. We put ourselves into that zone again and again, again and again. And then we realize ki it's okay if people are judging us, then it's okay. We don't have that fear in our mind, because you will always
Right.
find those kind of people who will always judge you, whether you are doing good, bad,
Bad anything.
average. whatever. There are people, unfortunately, there are people till this date they criticize Mahatma Gandhi.
If a
You know,
person like Mahatma Gandhi can be killed, then you don't have any actually reason as to why you should not be self-confident. And I think, Piyush, it's a very valid point that you have actually made. I would like to add upon to this. I think हमारा जो कॉन्फिडेंस होता है ना कहीं वी ट्राई टू seek confidence from others, right? If someone has said, oh, you did a good job, you're amazing, I feel, oh my god, I'm confident,
validation,
I'm now feeling empowered, right?
validation.
Validation. We seek that validation from other. In order to be more confident, we want others to validate, okay, that you're doing good, you're doing amazing. But I personally feel, and I think you would agree with me because we are always on the same page on these things actually, that self love is very important. When you
Absolutely
start loving yourself, then you feel that you have, because of the fact that you love yourself, you don't need anybody else to appreciate you, to say that you're looking good, to say that you're beautiful. And when you love yourself, then that self confidence will automatically sprout from yourself. And then don't need anybody else to say, oh, you're doing a great job. I don't want anyone to say, or I don't actually want anyone to come and boost my confidence. I am confident because I know
true,
my ability, I know
true,
my competence, I know where I'm
true.
good at, I know where I'm bad at. So become more self-aware. And as Piyush said that once you become more self-aware, start developing the key skills. And I think, as one of the legends said, I've heard someone saying that if you develop these three skills, like reading, writing, and speaking, all these skills actually hover over around these three skills. If you actually develop this correct truly, then you become more and more competent. And the moment you become more competent, you start to sound, write, express, behave in a different way. And then you will
Absolutely.
you will watch yourself evolving. That, as Piyush said, that when we started, we were not competent, we were not confident, we were not skilled. Doing podcast was something that we never did in life. It was a C type goal. We
Absolutely.
never did, we never actually experienced, but we did
Absolutely.
it because we actually took that action. It's,
Yeah.
so that is the reason. So fear and confidence, they go hand in hand. Low amount of fear, high amount of confidence. High amount of fear, low confidence. So you have to actually do the things that you fear most in order to go and experience something which is on the other side, and that will automatically take your confidence to a level up.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think, so start with self love. This is
And
another
I
tip
think
that I would
I
like to
think
add.
one more important point is
Yeah.
so it's about that as Ron Malhotra says that uh, so to whom you feed is also important. Are you feeding
That's very important.
your confident self, or are you feeding your less confident side? So every day you have to tell yourself, every day you have to read something, every day you have to have that kind of conversation with like-minded people. So what do you do in your life is also very much important, which can help. If you are spending time, your most of the time with the kind of people who are always discouraging you, who are always questioning the things
Hmm.
which you want to do in your life, then you will automatically discouraged, or you will feel that that you are having lack of confidence. But when you are actually
True.
spending time with like-minded people, which we both have experienced, and even till date we are having this beautiful relationship with each other, which is actually helping us to grow, right?
No,
So
she's
I
saying thank
think
you, Piyush.
if you want to become more confident, self love definitely the most important aspect. You don't require any validation, because we fear that people will judge me. But if you are not
Hmm.
expecting anybody else's validation, then you will not feel that you are having that lack of confidence, because you are validating your own life, you are
बट पीयूष,
validating
ये
your
पता
own.
है बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है एक्चुअली. मतलब
It's
ऑब्वियसली हम
actually
दोनों ने
difficult.
एक्सपीरियंस किया है, ट्रांसफॉर्म किया अपने आप को. बट फॉर समवन हु एक्चुअली लिव इन दैट एटमॉस्फेयर, कि आपके
Absolutely.
चारों तो लोग ऐसे हैं जो आपको डिस्करेज करते हैं, और आप उस एटमॉस्फेयर से बाहर निकलने का आपके पास ऑप्शन भी नहीं है, then it's
Absolutely.
very very difficult,
Very difficult. Very
understandably well.
difficult.
But again, nothing is
Agreed.
impossible.
Agreed. But then we also have to take examples of those people who lived much, I will say, much a difficult life as compared to ours. You know,
Correct.
I always have inspiration for from the people who face a lot of, like, they have a movie kind of stories of their life, who lived in a, 10 by 10 ka room, who lived like,
Hmm.
so you take Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
Yeah,
You know,
a lot of
he
pain in his
spent,
life.
yeah, he spent 1.5 years of his life by just eating tea and biscuit. 1.5 years. Can you imagine? So when he got his first role in Sarfarosh movie, if you see him, he was so much weak physically.
Weak,
So it
very
was
weak.
not like he has prepared for that role, but he was actually going through that phase of his life where he was just able to earn kind of money where he can afford only chai and biscuit.
Correct.
So so there are people who go through that kind of problems and challenges as well. So you have to lift yourself, you have to find the ways by which you can uplift yourself, and then now with the help of internet you can connect with a lot of like-minded people. It is much easier as compared to the earlier time.
Yeah, we are living into information age, so it is very possible. So I think
Absolutely.
Piyush, we are approaching our 1 hour of time. We have just like 5 7 minutes left.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It has been such an engaging conversation that we did not realize the time, to be honest. And I got to leave, guys. Okay, Zishan, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining.
so much,
You are
Zishan.
allowed to leave, please. And thanks again for joining. And do keep coming back to us and ask these beautiful questions. Keep your and contribute with your comments. We truly enjoyed your presence today, and thank you so much. And guys, whosoever is watching, please feel free to drop your questions because we just have
Yeah.
5 minutes left, and we would love to answer your questions in these
And
5 minutes.
whoever will be watching later on, please comment whatever questions, because once in a month we will be doing this kind of Q&A session. So we would love to cover up your questions in upcoming sessions as well.
Yeah, and I think Piyush, it was one of the very important one, because we discussed about the failures. A lot of people, you know, they have a very different perspective about failures. How do they want to manage time? It is one of the very important session where we have discussed, both of us, we discussed some of the very important things with our personal examples, with some of the beautiful perspectives. So anybody who would watch this episode in the future, and do not do not hesitate to share the feedback, put your drop your comments,
Absolutely.
and reach out to us. We would love to connect with you, we would love to share our thoughts with you. So
In
thank you
fact, I
so
would
much,
love
guys.
to. In fact, I would love to encourage our audience who are watching
Yeah,
right now or who will be
in the
watching
future.
later on, that share your failure stories in the comments below. Try to
Correct.
become
More
vulnerable.
vulnerable.
Try to put yourself into that zone where you confidently talk about your failures.
Yeah,
So this could be your starting where you can become vulnerable. Share your
correct.
failure stories in the comments below so that you can start working upon your mindset. You can start developing that abundance mindset. So talk about your failures in the comments below. So Tausif, one skill which we can cover up in a small amount of
5 minute,
time
yeah.
is the skills which schools and colleges never taught you. I think on a lighter note, one of the most important skills one should have is, and especially as a male person, is cooking, I think. What do you think?
मैं ना सच में कन्फेस करना चाहता हूँ, वेरी वेरी बैड एट कुकिंग, वेरी बैड. And I remember, so when I came to Delhi in 2006, I remember once I was left alone with by my family. So they went to hometown for some obvious reasons. There was some wedding in the family, so I was left alone in the house in Delhi. And so I had two options: either to buy something from outside and eat, or cook something on the own. So I remember in the morning I prepared the breakfast. The omelette I could manage to cook that. So omelette you don't require any skill to cook it. You just put
Skill
it on
to cook
tawa
it.
and then fry it. I ate
Right.
that with the bread and tea. Then I and it's very funny story. So in the lunchtime, decided that I would go to prepare matar pulao.
Uh,
Okay, so I peeled the pieces and then prepared the rice and everything. And at that time, we didn't have YouTube, and I didn't have smartphone in 2006, so I would just go with intuition, the thing that I saw. Or then I phoned my mom, and they all were busy, so I thought, okay, I have to do everything on my own. So I prepared it, took my time, and it was so good. So when I opened the
yeah.
lid, it was really good. Aroma was really really
It
nice.
was
I
really
thought
good. Oh,
it was really good. I thought it's really amazing. And then when I served myself, I realized that I forgot to put the salt into it.
oh. It's
So
fine. I mean, you learn something.
so so what happened then? Then I called again and I asked my mom that okay, I forgot to put the salt into matar pulao, and without salt, it was I mean it was not tasting good at all. So she said that okay, do one thing, जो वो बर्तन जो क्या होता है उसका जो जिससे हम निकालते हैं उसको उसमें ना थोड़ा सा नमक घोलो पानी में डाल के, और उसको उस पर से डाल के और उसको चला दो थोड़ा सा. वो मैंने किया बट उसका टेस्ट वैसा नहीं आया, मतलब कहीं पे ज़्यादा नमक कहीं पे कम नमक. सो दैट वाज द फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंस दैट आई एवर कुक्ड food for myself, and right after that never did.
Never did till
Never
date.
did till date. How about you?
Okay.
And I know you love to cook, Piyush, I think.
Yeah, I actually love to cook, and so you know, so the important point which I would love to talk about is, so cooking is something, not only it is important skill to have, but at the same time it is very few people know this fact that cook the process of cooking itself is something very much meditative. In fact, it is
Correct.
a kind of, there are, like, in psychology, a lot of doctors also suggest that it is a kind of therapy.
It heals you actually
It
because you
heals you
require a lot of
actually.
focus.
A lot of focus, you have to get into the process, you have to be conscious about small things. So
Yeah.
it's like creating something.
Yeah. In order to
So
achieve the desired taste,
creation,
you have to
yeah,
do that. Yeah.
exactly. Creation is something. Creation is always beautiful. So when you are creating something, you completely get into the process.
Correct.
So it's just not important to learn how to cook, but it is also important to cook sometimes in your life, so that you can also feel that, you can also experience that process, and that particular thing which will help you in other aspects of your life as well.
Absolutely. And Piyush
you
bhai,
you
ये
will,
मेरा short term goal है cooking,
yeah.
because I come from gym and then I disturb my family members, cook this, cook that, and वो ये बोलते हैं यार तू परेशान बहुत करता है. So that this is my short term
True.
goal, that I actually want to be able to prepare something for myself so that I
Absolutely.
don't have to disturb my family members.
Absolutely. And so that's why, cooking is something very important. And if you are not cooking, then definitely you are missing big thing in your life. You need to learn how to cook. It's not important that how many dishes you can prepare, but at least you should be able to understand the process of cooking, that why I should boil this thing, why I should not boil, or why I should fry this, the basics of cooking.
Yeah.
And so my personal experience with any type of skill is, it's always important to learn skills which are essential. So
Hmm.
driving is one of the most important skills to have in life, because for
True.
10 years of my life, good 10 years of my life, I didn't learn driving, even though my father kept telling me that you should learn. And in those 10 years, our experience must have more than 100 times that I should have learned driving. And likewise about cooking as well, because sometimes, you get into that kind of situation where you are the
Absolutely.
only option. when you should have those kind of skills, and
True.
you feel more independent, you feel more, confident. So
I want to have that feeling.
the skills always make you more confident.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think
So
it's really important. और काफी दिन से मैं ये चीज प्लान भी कर रहा था, तो आई थिंक बुशरा इज सेइंग यू कुडंट बिलीव गाइस आई एम राइटिंग पोएट्री. यस, यू राइटिंग ब्यूटीफुल पोएट्री. आई कैन ऑब्जर्व दैट टू बोथ ऑफ यू. This is one of my best podcast. I don't want to miss this. After listening to both of you, I feel strength in myself. Thank you so much for such
by the
an
way,
amazing feedback.
Bushra, you should share your poetries. I am unable to read any of your
I'm not
poetries,
sure
but
if you're connected with Piyush. Connect with him. He would
yeah,
love
yeah,
to
definitely,
contribute on your
definitely,
poetry.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. And Piyush, I would like to ask all of the viewers who are watching right now or who may be watching later on to provide some of the feedback of how this discussion went. Would they like to would they like us to discuss something on the similar line of things, like,
Right.
these topics are very interesting, personal, and give some perspective to people, so we would love to add value to audience. If you
Absolutely.
want both of us to discuss any topic that you think that it is going to help you in your career, in your life, in your profession, we would love to do that. So drop your
Absolutely.
feedback whenever you're watching us. Drop your feedback, and in the comment or message us that we want to both of you to have this kind of a discussion. We would love to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's time to wrap up
It's time.
for
Yeah.
today's episode. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much,
guys,
everyone.
once again. Take care.
Bye
See
bye.
you next Saturday at 11 a.m.